Welcome, Planeswalkers, to the CollectorMania YouTube channel. My name is Eric Ward, and today we are going through Dominaria deck techs for Gruun, the Lonely King. If you haven't seen Gruun, he's a 4/2 green for a 5/5 ape warrior with a kicker 3. If Gruun, the Lonely King, was kicked, he enters with 5+1/+1 counters on him, and whenever he attacks alone, double his power and toughness until end of turn. So the build I've gone with here is kind of changed things a little bit from my brew preview. I'm trying to go with a little bit of a fight theme. I figure I do want to stick with his doubling of power and toughness every turn when he's in combat, but there's some fight mechanics in here to keep him kind of like swinging at the board without actually attacking, that sort of thing. So our first card here, we got Garruk Wildspeaker as our Planeswalker. Just a really solid green Planeswalker here. Even just if you don't have anything quite yet, untapping into the next turn is good, or making a beast, and then of course the overrun has his -4 is a really great win condition there. Into creatures, our first fight creature, we have Ulvenwald Tracker. For 2 and a tap, target creature you control fights another target creature. So imagine your 2020 just beating down on whatever threats on the board. Next, Bramblewood Paragon. Each other warrior creature you control comes into play with an additional +1 counter, and then creatures with +1 counters get trample. So Gruun is an ape warrior, so that is a good synergy there. Sakura Tribe Elder, of course, for some land. Scavenging Ooze, just for some graveyard cover and counters as well. Burnished Heart, of course, another ramp creature here. Really solid choice, if you ask me. Court Archers is one of my original brew preview choices. Reach is, not bad, but here we've got Exalted. So whenever Gruun is swinging alone, he will get an Exalted trigger and add 1 and then double his power if he'd like. Next, Dungrove Elder. Of course, just a really good card for mono green. Having a creature with power and toughness equal to number of forests, not bad. And hexproof, really hard to deal with. Next, Eternal Witness, very simple, just to bring something back. Wood Elves with a little bit of ramp. Yavimaya Elder, of course, some ramp and draw. Centaur Omen Reader. One thing about Gruun is if we kick him, he's going to cost 9. No, math is hard. He's going to cost 9. So if we can make him cost a little bit less if we're swinging with our Centaur, that's not a bad thing. Chameleon Colossus, kind of a similar effect, but you can actually pay to do this multiple times. So if Gruun is out of the fight or you need an early game creature, Chameleon Colossus at a 4-drop with 4 to pump himself, double his power and toughness is really good. And you often forget Protection Black, but this card has messed up some black players in the past just because people forget that it's on there. It's a really awesome, Morningtide card. Golden Guardian here, another fighting creature. When it dies, it flips into the Gold Forge Garrison, which can tap for 2 mana or create a golem. Rox Charger, our second and I guess the only 2 mono green exalted creatures, so another way to get a +1 counter on Gruun. Solemn, of course, just for threatening draw and some land. Acidic Slime, one of the most played green removal spells, if you ask me, and a good Death Touch threatener there. Silklash Spiders for some flying defense. I count on this card so much in my green decks because I usually don't think about green flyers. This guy makes it so I don't have to. He's a good way to wipe out a huge creature and everything smaller than that. Ursipine, oh man, this card, especially with Gruun, if you've got nothing else to do but swing with Gruun and you've got an Ursipine on board, might as well tap all your mana, pump him up a whole bunch, and then double his power and toughness when he swings alone. So I love this card. Even if somebody swings with an unthreatening 2/2, you can kill someone else with somebody else's creature by, pumping that one up. Of course, Avenger of Zendikar, just for some kind of go wide if we need to. Just a bunch of Saprolings, of course. Foe Razor Regent, another way to fight. And whenever a creature fights, it gets 2 counters on it. So pretty decent there. Archetype of Endurance. Last thing we want to do is lose our commander. Or be unable to fight because we can't target. So you get hexproof, opponent's creatures can't have hexproof. So pretty good way to keep Gruun fighting throughout the game. Scar Goliath, kind of a fun one from the brew preview. Of course, for Blood Rush, that's the purpose this guy's in here. For 7, you can discard him and add +9 to an attacking creature. So you could attack in response to the trigger going on the stack, Blood Rush a Scar Goliath, make Gruun, let's say, what would that be? He'd be a 10-10, 19-19, double it to 38-38. So pretty good there. And he does have trample, right? Yeah, trample. Next, Terracodon, another good removal. As long as you're not dealing with creatures and you just give somebody some beasts you can trample over. Into our artifacts, of course, Elixir of Immortality. Just want some ways to get our life up if we need it, and then of course our graveyard back into the library. Relic of Progenitus, just a good responsible card here as far as removing somebody's graveyard stuff. And if you have a questionable hand, you can draw your second or third land if you need it with the pay one and exile. Of course, Sensei's Top just for some top deck filter. Soul Ring for some rock abilities. Emerald Medallion. If you're playing monocolor, you should get these. They are amazing. They've had a pretty recent reprint as well, but imagine Gruun now costing 8 and everything else costing a little less too. Isochron Scepter. I wasn't interested in this card initially, but I thought about it, and I've got a lot of instants and sorceries that are pretty good either to pump Gruun or to fight, and they would be good ones to imprint. Essentially, you can put an instant, I may have said sorcery, with CMC2 or less from hand, and you can pay 2 and tap it and cast that. So we'll see here in a bit what we can do with that maybe. Initially I had Lightning Greaves and thought that may not be a good decision if a lot of my cards say fight with target creatures. So we got Hexproof here with the boots instead of the Greaves. Strionic Resonator, part of the brew preview. We've got whenever Gruun attacks double. Whenever is a triggered ability type keyword, so we can pay 2 and get 2 triggers of doubling power. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Boy, Obsidian Battle Axe. I love these kind of tribal equipments. Here you can see equipped creature gets +2/+1 and has haste, which is good. And whenever a warrior comes into play, you can equip the Battle Axe to it. So again, you can see Gruun as an ape warrior. Yeah, you could have a, what would that be? A 12/11 haster on the turn you play him. So pretty decent. Ronus's Monument. Another way to make green creatures cost less. And it's kind of a win condition because you can get, if you play a creature spell, give a creature +2/+2 and trample until end of turn. Sculpting Steel, great way to kind of even the playing field. Say you don't have a top or a soul ring or something else that's nasty like a sword. Now you've got one. Cauldron of Souls. This is a really good card for the kind of linear commander strategy that I like to employ. Gruun is kind of vulnerable, especially if you don't have an archetype of endurance or something out or a way to keep him safe. You can just give him persist and then he'll come back. Staff of Nin, and I guess I'll really quickly touch on this. Of course, that would take away his kickers if you do have it. So it'll keep him back, but he won't be as beefy as if you kicked him. Staff of Nin, of course, just some extra draw. And I think that might take us to the end of our artifacts, our first enchantments here. Burgeoning, of course, play a land whenever somebody else plays a land. Yeah, awesome card. Exploration, same sort of thing, but you can just play an extra card on your turn or an extra land. Hardened Scales. Whenever something comes in with 1 or more counters, add an additional. So Gruun could come in with 6 +1/+1 counters, and then he'd be, a 11/11 to 22 and just double from there, that sort of thing. Another kind of fight mechanic here. We've got the Cartouche of Strength. Enters the battlefield, you have enchanted creature fight target creature and opponent controls, and enchanted creature gets +1 and trample. Asceticism. Really good one again, kind of like the Cauldron of Souls. This is a backup plan. Creatures can't be a target of spells or abilities, which is great. If somebody doesn't have to kill Gruun with a target spell, you can just regenerate him, that sort of thing. Doubling Season, not too bad. Again, looking for counters and stuff. Works well with the Avenger of Zendikar, even like Garruk, just getting some extra creatures. A little lackluster here. Maybe in this build it's not as great, but still an awesome green include. Into some of our instants. Of course, Berserk. For single green, you can essentially give trample and +X+O, whereas that creature's power. You've got to do it, I think, before attackers. Oh, yeah, before the combat damage step. So you could, throw this out and really mess somebody's day up. And, of course, lose Gruun, but you might kill somebody in the process. So Berserk, great card. Good recent reprint, too. Mutant's Prey, and I think a few of these will be good Isochron Scepter targets as well. Target creature you control with a +1/+1 counter fights target creature and opponent controls. That'd be awesome on an Isochron Scepter. Primal Bellow, target creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each forest. So imagine, Gruun is, let's say, a 10/10 with 10 lands in play. He's a 20/20, and now you can double his power to a 40/40. It'd be awesome. Worldly Tutor, just of course some regular old tutor. I think every deck should have at least one tutor that suits the color. Pounce, another fight type mechanic there. S Tactics. It's got a strive cost of green. Till end of turn, any number of target creatures get +1/+1 and gain tap to fight. So pretty good there. Unnatural Aggression, just another fight there, and with an exile on it as well if it kills that creature. Green Sun Zenith, just for some search if we absolutely have to get something specific. Prey Upon, of course, another fight. Epic Confrontation, +1/+2 in fights. Rabid Bite. This, I think, is a one-sided one. Deals damage equal to power to target creature you don't control. So yeah, there isn't necessarily a your creature fights. It's your creature just deals damage to creature B. So good way around maybe a Death Toucher, or something you could even threaten with dealing a ton of damage with Gruun, and then maybe they can't block with something huge, that sort of thing. Savage Punch, more fighting, and then you can get some extra counters if you control a creature with 4 or greater power. Of course we will. Some ramp here with Cultivate, Kodama's Reach, Explosive Vegetation, another fight spell with Hunt the Weak, Wild Instincts as well. This is Judgment. Izuri's Predation. This one's kind of interesting. You just make 4/4 beasts equal to all creatures your opponents control, and then those beasts fight everybody. So you can maybe wipe out a smaller board or weaken a larger board and then just have Gruun roll through. Praetor's Council, of course, just some more graveyard insurance, just getting yours back, and making it so you don't have a maximum hand size will be awesome. Into lands, our one Exalted Land, Cathedral of War. Pretty good choice there. Homeward Path, the last thing we'd want is to beef up Gruun and then have somebody mind control him or something, so you can just bring him back. And just a responsible card, even if it's not your stuff that's getting taken, odds are is something juicy will get looked at greedily in your commander games, so returning it to their proper owner is not a bad idea. Mosswarp Bridge, of course. These hideaway lands are pretty decent, and this is probably the easiest one to trigger, I'd say. So just having a creature with 10 or greater power gets you a free spell. Myriad Landscape, another great monocolored choice. I think I've put it in every single video so far. Just get 2 of the same color land. Awesome. Oran Reef the Vastwood, get an extra +1/+1 counter on a green creature that entered the battlefield this turn. It's not bad. Does enter tap though, so a little slow there. Reliquary, of course, just for no maximum hand size. Yavimaya Hollow, a little bit more backup for Gruun. If he goes down, you can just regenerate him. I think that's it, guys. Thanks for sticking with us on the Dominaria deck text for Commander. Yeah, if you guys like us, give us a like, comment, subscribe, all that sort of stuff. Hit the bell if you are subscribed, and stay tuned for more Dominaria deck texts.